Hello everyone! Welcome to another Sunday afternoon craft with me, James. And how are you? That's right, you can say, I'm fine, thank you. Hello, 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 how are you? I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, thank you. Alright, so this time I'll sing hello, how are you? And you can sing I'm fine, okay? Let's try, here we go. Hello, 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 how are you? Very good, alright. So this time, can you sing hello, how are you? And I'll sing I'm fine. Okay? Here we go. Hello. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, thank you. Alright, very good. Let's do it one more time, everyone together. Hello, 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 how are you? I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, thank you. Alright, very good. Alright. So, it's a new year. Happy New Year! And it's January, so it's winter. Now, in Hungary, where I live, we haven't had much snow yet, but maybe where you live, you've got some snow. So today, we're going to make a snowman. And what you'll need for this craft, you'll need the printable template, which you can find on myteddyandfriends.com in the craft section, and there's a link down in the description below. You'll also need some small twigs like this for the arms. Now, at this time of year especially, make sure you find some twigs that are on the ground, because even though there are no leaves on the trees, they're still alive, so you don't need to take a twig off a tree. You can find one on the ground, I'm sure, if you take a look. So, some small twigs like that. You'll also need some small stones, and we'll use those for the eyes and the mouth, and of course the buttons of our snowman. You'll also need your trusty glue stick, and for this craft we're also going to use some white glue. Now, if you haven't got any white glue, I'll tell you a couple tricks that you can probably use to get around using the white glue, but if you've got some white glue, that'll come in handy. Also, we need a pencil, of course our scissors, and someone old enough to use them, and our crayons, and someone young enough to use them. Alright, so let's get started, shall we? Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, as usual, is do some coloring. So, and all we need to color for this craft are the scarf, the mittens, and the hat. This is going to end up being the nose, but we aren't going to color it until after we've put the nose together, because it'll be a little bit easier that way. So let's see. I think I'd like to have a purple hat today. So I'm from Canada, and in Canada, winter hats like this with a pom-pom on top, we call this a toque. But a lot of people in other parts of the world, they call it a beanie, perhaps. Or a hat. But here we have a purple toque. Where does the hat go? That's right, the hat goes on your head. The hat goes on your head. E-I-I-D-O, the hat goes on your head. And as usual, let's try and do our best to stay in the lines. So I like to trace around the edge like that, nice and slow, and then I can just fill it in. And if you go over the lines, it's not too much of a problem because we're going to be cutting it out, of course. But do your best. It's good practice. Alright, so there we've got a nice purple toque. Let's see. I think maybe for my mittens, blue mittens today. So mittens have one thumb, and then the rest of your fingers go in one little section like this. Now if they're all spread out, if your fingers are all spread out, then those are gloves. So these are mittens. Alright, we've got some nice blue mittens. And the mittens go on your hands, the mittens go on your hands, E-I-I-D-O, the mittens go on your hands. There we go. Some nice blue mittens. Let's see, what color can I use for the scarf? Well, I think maybe a pink scarf. And the scarf goes on your neck, the scarf goes on your neck, E-I-I-D-O, the scarf goes on your neck. And I'll trace around the outside, nice and slow, so I can stay in the line, and then I can color the middle in, nice and quick. And nice and slow around the edges, and then I'll just color it in around and around, round and around. The scarf goes on your neck, the scarf goes on your neck, E-I-I-D-O, the scarf goes on your neck. Alright, and for now, that's all we need to color. So, we'll get right into the cutting. Alright, and I'll sit up to make sure I'm nice and stable. Don't want to fall down on my scissors. And I'll start by cutting out these nice big circles. I'll just go from the edge of the page and making sure my hands are way over to the edge or behind the scissors. And I'll just cut and turn the page as I go. And I'm cutting just a little bit outside of the line because for my snowman I'd like to see those black lines around the edges. Now you don't have to, you could cut that dark line right off and just have white circles if you want. Just do your best to follow around on the edge and just turn the page. You can see my scissors, they stay pointing the same direction the whole time. And I'm just turning the paper into the scissors, making sure that my fingers are way out of the way. And there we go. So we've got 3 different circles. We've got a small circle, a big circle, and a medium circle. So this is going to be our snowman's body. Alright, and I think I'll do the small circle next. And my fingers are way out of the way, behind the scissors. Scissors pointing forwards, and I'm just going to slowly cut and turn the page as I go. And be especially careful when you're going past your scarf, because you don't want to cut off part of your scarf by accident. Okay, and so this is the smallest circle, and that's going to be our snowman's face. Okay, and then I'll cut out my big circle. Be careful of those mittens as you go past. And just nice slow cuts, scissors pointing forward, and turn the page as you go around. Roll him until he's big. Roll him until he's fat as a pig. He has 2 eyes and a hat on his head. He'll stand there all night while we go to bed. Alright. And this big circle, of course, is going to be the bottom of our snowman. Alright. Now, I've got all these bits hanging off here, so I'm just going to cut some of those off. We are going to need some extra paper, some just little scraps, so I'm not going to crumple that up. I'm just going to set it aside for now until I know we have enough. And I'll cut this one off too. Make it a little bit easier to handle this. Okay, and next I will cut out my hat. And of course my hands are way out of the way, scissors pointing away from me, and nice slow cuts. Turn the paper around those corners. And make sure my fingers are out of the way before I cut. And just turning the paper, trying to follow that line. Now this pom-pom's a little bit tricky, so I'm just going to cut up and around it. I'm not going to try and stay too close to it. You can see I've got a little bit of white there still. That's okay. And there we go. There's my snowman's hat. A nice purple toque. Okay. Now this rectangle here, this was just to make sure that we save some paper for the nose. Some nice white paper for the nose. So we don't actually have to cut it out all the way, but for good practice, let's do that anyway. And I'll just cut straight along these lines here. And then trim off one edge. Nice straight cuts. I can line my scissors up, and I bet if I line my scissors up I could almost cut this in one cut. Oh, almost. 2 nice straight cuts. There we go. Alright, so that'll be our snowman's nose. But it doesn't have to be a perfect square or anything like that. Alright, next I'll do my mittens. And just be super careful not to cut through your scarf accidentally. Now this is pretty small, so I'm just going to grab it with the tips of my fingers just to keep it steady. And make sure I know where those fingers are when I'm cutting around. And there we go, there's one blue mitten. Very tips of my fingers, being really careful. And there we go. 2 blue mittens. And the last thing to go is my nice pink scarf. And you can see here that the scarf has has like a whole neck. If you want, you can cut that out carefully. We don't really need that, so I'm just going to do a straight cut all the way across here. Because this part will be under the snowman's head anyway, so we won't see it. So there's no need to spend time trying to cut that tricky little bit there. And now I got to a corner here, so I'm going to put my scissors right into the corner, and I'm just going to turn the page until my line lines up, and then squeeze and cut. And the same thing down here, there are all these little tiny bumps. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to cut straight across, because even if there's a little bit of white here, that's going to be on the snowman's body, so we won't even see it. So just hold it by the tip of my fingers here, and we're up in the corner again. So I'm going to put the edge of my blades, the edge of my scissors right there, and turn the page until I see the line lined up, and then I can squeeze and cut, 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 and there we go. There's my pink scarf. Alright, now these little bits, probably a little bit too small, but we'll see. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the nose. And I can put my scissors right away there. So, the nose is going to be kind of tricky. We're going to try and roll a cone shape. So, you can, if you make kind of like a triangle, fold that corner over and have kind of like a fold in the corner there, and then wrap it around. And then we need some glue to hold that together. I'll just put some glue along this edge. Now, of course, another way you could do this is if you need to a little more sport is with the tip of a pencil. You can put that in there, and then you can squeeze it a little bit. Now, this nose is extremely long. If we look at our snowman's face, that's a little bit too long. So what we're going to do is we'll just figure out how long we want it to actually be, and then just cut a nice straight line along the bottom. Now it needs to be a little bit longer than you're planning to have it in the end, and I think that's about right, so I'll just cut it off there. And now we're going to cut 4 cuts, so we can kind of flatten it like this, and then stick your scissors in the middle, and we're just doing a very small cut here. Okay, just a little cut. That's 1, 2, and then we're going to flatten it the other way and do some small cuts there. 1 and 2. So like I said, you have to have it a little bit longer than you want your snowman's nose to be in the end, because we're going to fold 1 out and then 1 in, and 1 out and 1 in. And I'm just going to poke those in with my pencil. Like that, so that we have 2 little tabs here. I hope you saw that. So you end up with 2 little tabs. So we just we folded it in half, and we cut one side and the other side, and then we folded it in half, cut one side and the other side, and then we pushed 2 of those in there with the pencil, and these 2 flaps stick out. Okay, now the next thing to do, we can actually put our snowman's head together. So first I'm going to figure out where I want my hat. Okay, so I'll put some glue along the bottom edge of the hat there, looks good. Alright. And now I'm going to put the nose about where I think it should go. And I'll take my pencil and just put a little line on either side. Oops. And if you need help with this, don't be afraid to ask. And there's a little line there. Alright, now what I'm going to do is kind of in the middle of that, I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to make two small cuts on those lines. Like this, and like this. Just small, careful cuts. Alright, and then what I can do is I can stick one of these flaps through here, and the other one through the other side. If I can find my hole. There we go. Alright, and then if I flip over my snowman's face, on the other side I can find those flaps and I can glue them down. Just a little bit of glue on there, and whoop. And just lift it up so I can get some glue on there. And then we can glue those right down. And there we go, and there's our snowman's nose sticking out. Alright. Now I probably should have done this just before I glued it on, but I forgot. So, and we'll grab an orange crayon and just color that nose in. Like I say, it probably would have been easier if I did this before I glued it on, but oops. Alright, and I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. So there's our snowman's head, and we'll do the eyes and the mouth a little bit later. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is we'll take the body and we can put some glue all over our scarf. And then the scarf can just go up towards the edge here. Eventually our head's going to cover over part of that, so if you overhang a little bit, that's okay, because we're going to put it like that. But we'll do that a bit later. Okay, and then next we'll attach the body to the bottom, and I'm going to put the bottom down first, and then the body part. And I'll just put some glue actually on the top of the bottom. The top of the bottom. Alright. And then I'll grab that and make sure that my scarf is on the top there. And there we go. Okay. So next we're going to put our mittens on. Now, if you only have a glue stick, what you'll want to do is put some glue on the mittens or on a piece here, and then put the stick in the middle, and then just put that piece of paper over top. For me, I've got my white glue, and I'm going to be very careful not to use too much of this, but I'm going to just put a little dab of white glue there, and then I'll put my stick, and I can kind of spread it out a bit, get my stick covered in glue, and then I'm going to take a little piece of the scrap paper. It doesn't have to be a very big piece because we don't want it to be sticking out over the edge of our mittens, and we'll just put that over top of the stick, and that'll help it stay on. And there we go, we've got a mitten. There's one hand, and then we'll do the other one. Now if you want it to be really perfect, you could hold the paper like this, and you can cut off a perfect piece of paper, or you can just rip it. Alright, and a little drop of glue here, and then we'll spread it around with our stick and get our stick all nice and gooey gluey. And then that little piece of paper over top, just to hold it down. Okay, now once I've got some glue on my board here, so just be careful, because if you put some of your paper down on that glue, it's going to stick. Okay, and now I'm going to turn over the snowman's body, and then I'm going to decide where I want these arms to go. So I think that looks about right. And just like we did for the mittens, we're going to take some little scrap pieces of paper. You could either cut out a nice neat strip, or just rip it. And we can use slightly bigger pieces of paper for this because we've got more space here. You can see I'm using recycled paper again. I'll just put a drop of glue there, and a drop of glue there. We can use a little more glue, but we don't need that much glue really. So I'll just spread that around and make sure I get it all around my stick. And spread it around a little with my stick. Okay, and then just stick a piece of paper over top of that. And that's just going to help hold our sticks on a little bit better. Make sure your mittens are facing the color side down so that everything matches. Because we don't want to end up with a snowman with backwards mittens. And there we go. Alright. And now I'm just going to wipe the glue off my fingers here. And now I'm going to flip this over. You might have some glue on the back, so you might have to wait a little while until that's dried before you flip it over, just because you don't want to get your snowman stuck to whatever you're working on. But there we go. Okay, and now I'm ready to, I'll just close my glue there. Now I'm ready to glue my snowman's head on. Now you could do this whole craft with white glue and spreading it out, but I like glue stick for gluing paper to paper. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right there where his neck would be. And there we go. And there's my snowman's head. So there's one thing missing. Let's see. Roll him until he's big. Yep, he's big. Roll him until he's fat as a pig. He has 2 eyes. Oh, wait a minute. He doesn't have 2 eyes yet. So, I've got a whole bunch of little pebbles that I found outside. And I found 2 that are a little bit darker. So I'm going to use those for the eyes. And I'm just going to put 2 little drops of glue where I think the eyes should go. And then I'm just going to plunk these stones right onto that glue. I can kind of touch the top. Alright. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the mouth. So just little drops of glue. Now, I said I was going to tell you what you can do. If you don't have white glue, you could also use a hot glue gun. But if you use a hot glue gun, make sure you have somebody to help you out, because that can be pretty dangerous. Or, you know what, you don't need to put stones on your snowman. You could also just draw the eyes and the mouth with a crayon. And I'm sure that would look great too. And there we go. A nice snowman smile. Alright, and then I'll choose just a couple stones and put some buttons on. Oops, closed my glue. There we go. Just 2 little drops of glue. And there's one. There we go. And there's our little snowman. I'm a little snowman, short and fat. Here is my scarf and here is my hat. When the sun comes out, I'll melt away. See you again next snowy day. Now, you're going to want to let this snowman sit, because we've got this white glue, and the white glue will take a little while to dry. So you'll probably want to just leave your snowman sitting where you made it, or put somewhere else safe, and just let it dry. But there we go. There is our snowman. I'm a little snowman, short and fat. And there we go. There's our little snowman. So I hope you enjoyed today's craft. I'm going to put that back down because it's still not dry. I hope you enjoyed today's craft, and if you did, please be sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made a snowman, I would love to see it. So get your mom or dad to send me a picture on Facebook. You can find me at Babilon Kids on Facebook. There's a link in the description below. You can also find me on Instagram. Again, there's a link in the description below. So thank you very much. I hope you had a great day, and we'll see you next time. I can say goodbye, you can say goodbye. I can say goodbye to you, you can say goodbye to me. Goodbye, goodbye to you. I can say goodbye, you can say goodbye. I can say goodbye to you, you can say goodbye to me. Goodbye, goodbye to you. I can say goodbye, goodbye. You can say goodbye, goodbye. I can say goodbye to you, goodbye. You can say goodbye to me, goodbye, goodbye to you. I can say goodbye, you can say goodbye. I can say goodbye to you, you can say goodbye to me. Goodbye, goodbye to you. Bye, see you next time.